we have studied nitrogen cycle, sulfur cycle, phosphorus cycle, all these things we have studied to some extent in different, but especially the masters and PhD students, they have already studied these things. But for the preparation of in ARS, JRF, SRFs, all these exams, we need to study these things a bit deeper sense with all our updated knowledges. So how we'll start, how we'll prepare for such kind of competitive exam. Say, you have heard about cycle, elemental cycle. Now in elemental cycle, what we do, we start at a particular point where it may be an input point or output point, and if it is input point, we are again coming back to that input point, and during that process, whatever different processes are involved, those processes we explain in case of any elemental cycle. But when we talk about, say, elemental cycle, there are lots of developments happens in recent days. So we used to say it's a biogeochemical cycle. That word itself, earlier all elemental cycles were studied from the perspective of geochemical reactions. But with the invent of nucleic acid technology and with stable isotope probing technology, we came to know in each and every elemental cycle at what position, what kind of organisms are involved, and how they actually act as a driver of elemental cycle. Actually, they operate the elemental cycle. If they don't participate, then any elemental cycle, it is incomplete. So from that perspective, if you see, now we use the word biogeochemistry. Bio means it is a biological compartment within a elemental cycle. Any elemental cycle, there will be a biological compartment. And that is the driving force of the elemental cycle. So if you see, this is ecosystem boundary. Ecosystem, you understand that it is an interaction between living organisms and its surrounding environment within a defined natural boundary, because that defined natural boundary is very, very important in ecosystem concept. Because at what scale you want to understand the ecosystem, that is important. You may study the ecosystem at continental level, you may study the ecosystem at a regional scale, or at, say, field scale. Within the agroecosystem or within a agroecosystem, there may be a different kind of compartmentalization. Like, say, in rice ecosystem, we may have upland rice ecosystem, lowland rice ecosystem, such kind of, means it's up to your purpose, what purpose you want to study. Even nowadays, we talk about ecosystem at cellular level. Cellular ecosystem. When we talk about cellular ecosystem, that means it is a assemblance of cells, and those cells, how they interact with each other. Say in our body, we have a cells, and all these cells, individual cells, how they interact with each other. What is their basic purpose, for what kind of processes they are operating. So if you study within a particular cell, then it is a cellular ecosystem. So depending on your purpose and natural boundary, you can fix. So if you see in this picture clearly, there is a atmospheric compartment. You can see, is it visible? Shumon?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's visible, sir.
Yeah. And if it is okay, tell me otherwise whether all the students they are following or not.
Yes, yes, following, sir. All the students
Okay.
are students also
So,
replied to the sir, please. Reply to the sir, please.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Atmospheric compartment, primary and secondary mineral compartment, organic compartment and available nutrient compartment. When you talk about a biogeochemical cycle, so these compartments, you know, organic compartment, available nutrient compartment, atmospheric compartment, and primary and secondary. Mineral compartments means rocks, minerals, and any material which is fixed in the clay lattices, okay, clay surfaces. These are the major components. Now, each and every component, they are interlinked with various processes, geochemical processes. On top of that, there is a biosphere component. This is a biosphere component, okay? Now, this biosphere component, if it is not working, when it is not working, biosphere component, suppose you have destroyed the ecosystem by wrong management practice, then your biosphere component is not going to function at its full potential. For example, now if you look at the green revolution impact on that Punjab, Haryana, and Western UP, all these area, their soils organic carbon is less than 0.4%, 0.4, less than 0.4%. Majority soils, hardly somewhere you can find 0.6%. So that means the basic element which is required for the keeping the biological activity of soil organism alive in soil, that is soil organic matter. So once that system is destroyed or in the process of severe degradation, then biological compartment, that biosphere, it is not functioning properly. Once it is not functioning properly, then all these compartment, what is going on here, it is not going to work in a systematic manner. For example, say, here I am not saying it is a carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, or sulfur, or maybe other elemental cycle. It is a generic elemental cycle. This kind of cycle is applicable to any kind of element. It's a generic. If you this elemental cycle, if you can remember, then you can, depending on the need, you can nicely organize your elemental cycle. Suppose nobody generally what it called, nobody nowadays say we mostly study nitrogen, carbon, sulfur, okay, then phosphorus. These are the cycles we study. Tomorrow, if someone asks you in ARS exam that just explain the zinc cycle in soil from the perspective of the recent nutritional requirement, okay, so you never studied, and that is the question where you can encounter in competitive exam, because it is an unconventional question, and as you are not studying, how you will answer? So if you know and understand the basics of any elemental cycle, how elemental cycle operates, then on this model, if you know and understand properly, in this model, you can fit your zinc cycle also. Okay, so that's why the basic things always you should know. For example, atmospheric compartment. In case of zinc, atmospheric compartment is, for example, in case of zinc, I am telling it is not necessary, because zinc is not going to atmosphere as a volatile. I am in a class. I am taking class. So what I would say here, when we talk about atmospheric compartment, means any element which are having some kind of forms. That forms, it may be gaseous form or particulate form. So in case of nitrogen, there is a gaseous form of nitrogen. In case of carbon, there is a gaseous form of carbon. In case of sulfur, there is a gaseous form of sulfur. So in that case, atmospheric compartment is a valid compartment. That means it is an active compartment which is contributing to the elemental cycle. Then primary and secondary mineral compartment. Now, in case of mineral compartment, if you look at what are the elements most essential in primary and secondary mineral compartment, mainly the metals, then calcium, magnesium, all these are present in mineral forms, like sulfur, potassium are present in mineral form, even phosphorus. But nitrogen in mineral form, there will be either it is ammonical form or it may be nitrate form, such kind of things are there. So organic compartment, plant biomass, litter, microbial biomass, soil organic matter. That means these three things you should always remember. The basics of any elemental cycle, that plant biota is involved. From the plant biota, only animal biomass but plant, ultimately carnivore animals, they are eating on herbivores. Herbivores are surviving on plant. So ultimately all energy what we derive, entire energy comes from the plant biomass. And plant is the only component who can harvest the solar energy naturally. So the most important process on this planet is the photosynthetic process, followed by the second most important process in this planet is cation exchange capacity. This is the second most, CEC. That is the second most important process. First one is photosynthesis. So that means any elemental cycle, definitely in organic component or compartment will be generated. They will harvest the solar energy. That solar energy will be now, it will be distributed to different layers of the system. Say solar energy will come to the soil in the form of your absorption of radiation by soil particle, especially that soil organic matter, and soil matter, organic matter, nothing but it is coming out of plant biomass. And plant biomass in the form either roots or litter falls, they will be depositing in the soil, and with time this will become part of soil organic matter, and energy will be distributed from this to the microbial biomass, because microbes are the first organism who utilize those plant materials. They do the biochemical transformation of the plant materials. Initially they use this energy for their body growth, then again they die, material is released, and finally there will be reaction of amino acids and phenol, like the simple sugars of as a decomposition product. They will actually initiate a reaction. That reaction will be, it is polyphenol reaction, polyphenolic reaction. There will be formation of quinone materials, and quinone will be finally converted to organic, soil organic matter. But you always remember, the most complex material on this planet is soil organic matter, because till to date 50% of composition of soil organic matter we do not understand what it is. Though we know that these are coming from plant biomass, it is coming from animal tissues or XYZ, but finally when product is produced as a soil organic matter, their composition got transformed into such a complex reaction that 50% of its constituents still we cannot identify. That's why we consider soil organic matter is the most complex material on this planet. Now, this is the organic compartment, plant biomass, microbial biomass, soil organic matter, when it is a step-by-step process. Okay, but in any elemental cycle, each and every compartments are operating simultaneously. Never think that one compartment will start first, then second will operate. No, these all compartments and processes are simultaneous process. At one go, they are operating. Only it is a matter of balance or equilibrium. At certain point, due to certain condition, one process may be dominating the other process. But when that situation again changes, the other process may dominate the first process. But ultimately, there will be changes in the rate of reaction, but no reaction will be stopped. It's a relative change in the rate of reaction. Of everything is operating at its own, depending on the what we call that soil edaphic factors. Now, if you see organic matter, then there will be mineralization. Mineralization process will release the available nutrients. So first available nutrients will go to the soil solution, and from soil solution there will be continuous response with the exchange sites of the clay particles. If soil solution mineral or ionic concentration in soil solution of any element is increasing, then they will tend to get fixed more on the clay surface. When this is getting concentration of these cations are going down, then the exchange site is going to release the cations so that it will maintain a balance between this solution phase and exchange site. Okay, this is maintaining a balance. And at the same time, there is certain pulls. That pull will be, there will be uptake of the nutrients from the soil by plants. And from exchange side, then the nutrients can go to undergo precipitation reaction. Precipitation reaction means many nutrients, they undergo some complexation with anions and they form some kind of complex, and that complex become insoluble in soil water. When it is insoluble, we call it is a precipitation reaction. Precipitation reaction is opposite to dissolution reaction. Then weathering. What happens if exchange site is saturated and there will be high concentration of cations on the exchange site, then there will be a tendency of these exchange sites cation will fall off and try to react with anions and making these insoluble reactions. That is called precipitates like iron oxides, aluminum oxides. Then such kind of oxide formation happens and they will become now secondary mineral compartments. They will become in the secondary mineral compartments. And primary is, it is a mineral constituents where they will be here. Now, as per the pedological concepts, that primary and secondary minerals, they undergo various weathering processes. That may be a chemical weathering, biological weathering, then physical weathering. So this is just an example. Dry deposition means from atmosphere, say some particulate matter may come and deposits as a primary, secondary materials in soil, or otherwise from here, from soil, wind can take away or water can take away and it finally goes to the atmospheric compartment, provided that particular element has a volatile forms. Then from plant also there will be biological release and biological uptake. So, and here also wet and dry deposition and volatilization loss may happen. So this is overall a generic elemental cycle. And if you see that input and output, okay, so in the biosphere, all these compartment, organic compartment, this is mainly operated by that microorganisms and soil organisms. Actually, they are responsible to carry out all these kind of transformation and decomposition reaction. If they are not functioning properly, then this compartment will not work. And if this compartment is not going to work, then your soil solution pool will be first affected. The most affected pool in the elemental cycle will be soil solution pool. And that's why what we say in that present day, that though green revolution give us the self-sufficient in food, we have to acknowledge it. But due to some lack of understanding during that time, so our this organic compartment got disturbed in soil. And as a result, that soil solution pool is highly affected, means negatively affected. And once soil solution pool is negatively affected, then crop productivity is going down. And if you put more and more fertilizer, this organic compartment is not working to its potential. As a result, soil solution phase, that replenishment is not happening up to the expectation. So in spite of that also, our soil is now not responding. So this is what I would say, that nutrient cycle, you have to understand from that perspective only. No, don't go through with a bookish knowledge that, okay, this is nitrogen cycle I studied. You should understand the basic functioning, how it is happening. Then you can use this model to explain a elemental cycle. It may be nitrogen, it may be sulfur, and for that you need to study the textbook of nitrogen cycle, and then you can easily relate to this generic elemental cycle. Is it okay, Dr. Sahab?
Yes, sir. Very fine.
Yes, sir.
Students,
Yes, sir.
my voice is clear?
Yes,
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 sir.
sir.
If there is connectivity problem, please tell me.
Okay, okay, sir.
So next, I am trying to give you some very unique concepts. Say generic biogeochemical cycle elements later stage. Then beforehand, you should understand some important aspects of respiration, soil respiration. Soil respiration, what is soil respiration? Because organisms present in the soil, it may be bacteria, fungi, actinomycetes, then soil animals, then earthworms, nematodes. Nematode, never consider nematode as a bad organism. From the plant pathology point of view, it is a bad organism, those parasitic nematode. But from soil science point of view, nematode is one of the most important organism in mineralization procedure. They have a great contribution in mineralization of nutrients, nematode. So what I would say here, in soil, a soil at this moment, it may be aerobic soil. Aerobic means the soil pores, it is not fully occupied by water. That means some percentage of pore space in the soil is occupied by air and some part may be by water. So depending on the relative contribution of pore space occupied by water, then we can designate that soil as a aerobic soil, or we can designate the soil as a anaerobic soil, or we can say that soil is a intermittently saturated or intermittently aerobic. So in such case, it is a aerobic respiration. Second is facultative anaerobic respiration. Can you see? And third is
Yes, yes.
anaerobic respiration. Can you see the picture?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear
Yes.
me now?
Yes, sir. Your slide is also visible, sir.
Hello?
Gargi. Yes, sir. Your slide is also visible, sir, and you are audible, sir.
Okay. Okay. So now this aerobic respiration, facultative anaerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. When we talk about aerobic respiration, that means there is sufficient amount of oxygen molecule in our soil profile. When we say facultative anaerobic, or otherwise you can say facultative aerobic. Facultative means it may be anaerobic, it may be aerobic. Meaning is same. So in that respiration means to some extent pore space of the soil is occupied by water. It's a intermittent. Okay, say 50% of the pore space is occupied by water, or 60% of the, or maybe 40% of the pore space occupied by water. Then anaerobic means all the pore spaces in soil is fully occupied by water. That means 100% occupation, that is a saturated condition. And there is lack of oxygen in anaerobic respiration. Respiration, basically, when we say, it is nothing but it is a decomposition process. Because when soil organisms, they carry out the decomposition process, they need to respire because they need energy to do that work. And when they respire, so that respiration, actually they get the energy from electron transport chain in their body. Electron, ETC, we call ETC, electron transport chain. So now you look at in anaerobic respiration, electrical conductivity is more than 300 millivolt. That means it is basically a upper layer of the soil. In the upper layer of the soil, when there is sufficient oxygen inside the soil layers, then electrical conductivity, it is called redox potential, EH, redox potential. Electron potential is more than 300 millivolt, and what we call this is a zone 1. Then if we move a bit down towards down the soil profile, we will find a zone that is zone 2, and further deeper depth, zone 3. If we go further, then we will get a zone 4 and zone 5. That is the deepest one. Or that, just you imagine. But when that soil is suppose aerobic, but suddenly there is a huge rainfall and entire soil is now inundated. At that point, soil entire pore space are occupied by water, and whatever oxygens were present, all oxygens is expelled, means everything gone out of the soil profile. Then you can get this zone 4 and 5 even in the surface layer itself. If it is continuously submerged for more than 10-15 days, you can expect this zone in the surface layer itself. Okay, so let us see that aerobic respiration. In zone 1, when electron potential is more than 300 millivolt, we have the plant residues or organic residues on the surface. That becomes now soil organic matter, what you can say, that is some organic matter is easily decomposable and some are slowly decomposable. Just a moment. So there are some kind of soil or organic residues which are easily decomposable and some are slowly decomposable depending on the compositional difference of the organic residue. Now, if there is sufficient amount of oxygen, then organisms, what they will do, they will use this oxygen molecule to get the electron from the oxygen molecule. Okay, and that oxygen will it will actually utilize for oxidizing the organic residues. And that means it is a step-by-step aerobic decomposition where oxygen will burn the organic residues. So end product of the decomposition will be aerobic decomposition process. The end product is always carbon dioxide, and there will be also release of water molecule. So during that process, whatever energy originally bounded by the organic residues in the form of solar energy, what is harvested through photosynthetic reaction, and during decomposition, those energy will be ultimately released, and those energy will be utilized by the microbes in the soil, and they will utilize that energy for their own body growth. And ultimately, carbon dioxide will release from the soil and it will go out of the soil. And that's why we call that soil is respiring. That means carbon dioxide is evolving from the soil. Now, this is ideal condition when our soil is aerobic condition, means sufficient amount of oxygen is there. Suppose there is a situation slightly prevail that oxygen level is going down slowly in the soil. When oxygen level is going down in the soil, then in the soil there are several organisms, types of organisms present. Some organisms, they utilize only oxygen, and their abundance will be very high when it is fully oxygenated system. But moment a situation prevails that oxygen concentration goes down, in that situation, what will happen? There will be slowly another group of organism will come up, and that is called microbial succession. Next group of organism will come up and they will dominate, and those organisms, what they will do, as free oxygen is not available in the system, they will try to take the oxygen from elements like nitrate. Nitrate is the most easily available elements where there is sufficient number of oxygen is binded with nitrogen. So in such case, what they do, these organisms, they will take, under that situation, concentration of ammonia will be more, NH4 will be more. So while they are decomposing the organic matter, okay, in the zone 1, though in fully aerobic situation, this oxygen utilized and oxygen got depleted. Now their amount is either it is fully exhausted or very little here and there. In that case, a group of organisms will start utilizing that nitrate molecule, and that nitrate will be broken down and it will utilize that oxygen for their own body growth, and then there will be denitrification process triggered. Actually, this denitrification, why it is triggered? From the point of view that nitrate is now losing from the system, because nitrate is broken down and it is converted to nitrite and then nitrogen gas or nitrous oxide gas. So we call it is a denitrification process, and it is not a good process. But at the same time, this process is also very essential from environmental point of view, because this process in anaerobic situation, this denitrification process actually supply the energy to the organisms, and then only nitrogen, these organisms can carry out the decomposition process under partial anaerobic condition. If these molecules, they do not supply the nitrate, oxygen from nitrate, then those organisms, they cannot carry out the decomposition process under partial oxidation situation or partial anaerobic situation. So at the very first instance, when oxygen got depleted, so first molecule will be attacked by a class of organism, that is nitrate. And if such situation prevails for longer period, then nitrate will be depleted. Then there will be again, and preferably at the zone of zone 2, zone 3, like that. Okay. And those organisms now will come up and they will start utilizing iron oxides, Fe2O3. The oxygen from iron oxide, they will start utilizing. And they will grow in their, means then they can grow by their body mass, okay, to derive the energy. And at the same time, they will continue the decomposition process. If iron oxide is also depleted, because that anaerobic situation is prevailed so longer period, then manganese oxide is targeted, MnO2, and oxygen will be utilized. And that's why in anaerobic situation, the concentration of iron, Fe2+, Mn2+, all these are increasing. Originally, they are present in soil as a oxide form, but those oxygens are scavenged by the organisms and they utilize for their energy need, and through that energy, they are decomposing the organic matter. As a result, iron 2+ means that reduced form of iron. Manganese Mn2+, their concentration increases under anaerobic like situation. Now, all this process happens simultaneously, but the relatively which process will be dominating what process, okay? It depends on the level of oxygen and level of water present in the system. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So next, we'll go further worse situation. Worse situation say that soil is now completely anaerobic, no presence of oxygen. And whatever oxygen present in the form of iron oxide, manganese oxide, nitrate, everything is exhausted. Means all oxygen present in the complex form, that is also utilized by organisms. Under such situation, only option left now is sulfate reduction. Sulfate molecule will be targeted at zone 4. And if you look here in zone 2, it is 100 to 300 millivolt. Then zone 3 minus 100 to 100 millivolt. Zone 4 minus 200 to minus 100 millivolt. Means very reduced condition. And extremely reduced condition, it is less than 200 millivolt. So in the sulfate situation, when sulfate molecule will be attacked by a group of organism, we call it is sulfate reducing bacteria, SRB, sulfate reducing bacteria. They will try to take the oxygen from sulfate molecule, and sulfate will be converted to elemental sulfur. Then immediately whatever iron is present, elemental iron, that will be immediately reacted with the elemental sulfur, and it will form the pyrite mineral, FeS2, what we call pyrite mineral. So under that situation now, the energy is getting from the sulfate, but sulfate is also not like never-ending things. There is always limited quantity. Once sulfate is going to be depleted completely, then the last option left is that it is anaerobic methane production. Anaerobic methane production through methanogenesis process. And that is the last anaerobic situation. What will happen? All these organisms who are now methanogens, who produce methane, mean gens, methanogens. These are the last group of successive organisms who is carrying out incomplete decomposition process. As a result, lots of amino acid, carbohydrate, long chain fatty acid, these will be produced, and that will undergo fermentation reaction, acid fermentation. And that fermentation product is, it is mainly the most major product is acetic acid, butyric acid, propionic acid, all such acids will be generated. And at the same time, when elemental sulfur is produced and oxygen is utilized, so it will also try to capture the hydrogen ion and forming H2S gas. And that is giving a foul smell in the rice field, H2S gas. And at the same time, that acid fermentation, like compounds like short chain fatty acid like acetic acid, butyric acid, oxygens are present, CH3COOH, acetic acid. So that OO from the organic source, that oxygen will be now utilized by methanogens. And as a result, now the carbon will be binding with hydrogen and it will form the methane, CH4. And CH4 will be escaped to the environment. But when from deeper depth, CH4 go up, if in the zone 1, there is free oxygen present, then entire methane may not be lost as a methane, as a greenhouse gas to the environment. If there is some sort of oxygen exposure comes with methane, then there will be a methanotropes of organism. Methanotrope means those organisms who loves to utilize methane as a source of carbon. Those methanotropes, here that methane genesis, organisms are methanogens, okay? And here this methane, when it go upward and reacting with oxygen, then there will be again formation of carbon dioxide and there will be consumption of oxygen by methanotropes. So this way, this entire decomposition process is relates, that is aerobic respiration, facultative anaerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. And these respirations are soil edaphic factor dependent, depending on the level of oxygen and level of water, that which process will be more dominating, it depends on. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So why I am telling before going to elemental cycle, if you see here that organic compartment, actually all these are happening in organic compartments. Okay. The decomposition process. Now, going specifically to nitrogen mineralization process, if we want to go to nitrogen mineralization process,
Yes, sir.
Daksha, is it, am I going very slow?
No, no, sir. Sir, you are in the as a good speed, sir. It's a proper, sir. A student understand all this.
Yeah, because the things is, these are the very complicated process. If I go fast, they
Yes,
will
sir,
be confused.
No, no, sir. You are in the right speed, sir. But you will increase some speed, sir.
Okay. So if we look at that nitrogen mineralization process, means nitrogen biogeochemical cycle, then first we should know that in case of nitrogen, there are together 9 different forms. First, that is nitrate, NO3, that is highest oxidizing state, that is +5. Oxidation state is +5. Then nitrogen dioxide, NO2, we call nitrate, +4. Nitrite, NO2, that is dioxide form, +4, but nitrite, NO2, that is +3. 1 electron is shortage, that is nitrite. Then nitric oxide, NO is +2, oxidation state. Nitrous oxide, N2O is +1. Dinitrogen, this is 0. Ammonia, NH3 is -3. Ammonium, NH4+, that is -3. And organic nitrogen, RNH3. Here it may be NH2 amide form, because 1 hydrogen will be shared and this will make a chain with the carbon. So that is -3. These are the different forms of nitrogen may appear on this planet. in soil system, in atmosphere system, okay? Now, you look at this terrestrial nitrogen cycle. The center you start with soil organic nitrogen, okay? You always need to have a starting point of any elemental cycle. So you start with soil nitrogen. So when soil organic nitrogen, there will be obviously immobilization and mineralization process involved. And who is involving? That is microbial nitrogen. Microbes are responsible for immobilization and mineralization process. That's why it is microbial nitrogen. If you say soil organic phosphorus, in case of phosphorus, you write soil organic phosphorus, then it is P immobilization, P mineralization, then it will be microbial P. Clear? So, soil organic nitrogen, where from it comes? It comes from the plant. But all 100% of plant material, it never become soil organic nitrogen, because whatever biomass, gross primary production, okay, means that is the photosynthetic product. Total photosynthetic product is never become entire amount of photosynthetic product is not soil organic matter, because there is some loss mechanism. Suppose if farmers are burning the straw, then nitrous oxide will be escaping to the atmosphere. And also animals, including human, we eat the plant material and that go as a harvest. So whatever is left in the soil will come as a soil organic nitrogen. And there may be some sediment nitrogen, means that due to soil erosion process, when organic matter is lost from the system along with the soil erosion process, that nitrogen is also lost. But from the soil organic matter point, there is the process we call nitrogen mineralization. How? That first organic form or amide form of nitrogen, that will be converted to ammonical form. That ammonical form, it comes through the immunization reaction. Otherwise, ammonical form of nitrogen may also come as an inorganic fertilizer. If you are putting urea, urea will be converted through urease enzyme and it will form the ammonical ion. Okay. So, and also that nitrogen may come to the soil through rainwater, because that in the atmosphere, nitrous oxide, it reacts with the water molecule and form nitrate. In the dissolved form, along with water, it comes in nitrate form. And also particulate organic matter, sometimes it contains very minimum quantity, that ammonical form, it may come. So from this point, organic matter, organic nitrogen to ammonium ion, that is actually the process involved is immunization and ammonification. There are two biochemical processes involved, immunization and ammonification. And once this is produced, then that will undergo nitrification reaction. And nitrification reaction, end product is nitrate. And it will go and it will be uptaken by plant. Say nitrate will be uptaken by plant, or nitrate ammonia also may be uptaken by plant depending on what type of crop. Say for example, rice and grass type of plant can take an ammonical form of nitrogen. And nitrate, entire nitrate is not taken up by the plant. A portion will be lost to groundwater as a leaching, and a portion may undergo denitrification reaction depending on the level of water or oxygen present in the soil system. What we said now, that facultative anaerobic respiration. And finally, plant can get done. That input is called biological nitrogen fixation. From atmosphere directly, that nitrogen will be fixed in the form of ammonical, means as a amino acid, it will be formed and it will be going to the plant system. Now, biological nitrogen fixation, as we do not see by naked eye, we usually ignore. But this is foolish thing if we say biological nitrogen fixation, that what is its contribution? The contribution of biological nitrogen fixation is nearly 160 teragram of nitrogen per hectare per year. Per year, not per hectare. 160 teragram of nitrogen per year. It is fixed. But industrially, nitrogen like urea and such kind of fertilizer, total fertilizer as of now, that production in the world is hardly 140 teragram. That means biological nitrogen fixation total quantity as a contribution, it is much more higher. Then that lightening and all, that fixation of nitrogen through lightening process, that during thunderstorm and all, it comes around 5 to 15 teragram of nitrogen per annum. So that's why these processes are very, very important, biological process, and this carbon and nitrogen cycling is extremely important in any agroecosystem. If we can maintain a very good carbon and nitrogen mineralization and process in an effective way, then automatically all other elemental cycle will work properly, because the main carbon nitrogen is involved in the microbial growth and biomass development of microbes. And phosphorus is equally important for that nutrients point of view. So this way that nitrogen cycle, it operates. Now we'll go to the detail. Say percent water filled pore space and relative microbial activity. If you look at what I said, that relative contribution of oxygen and water in the pore space, then this is 10% of the pore space occupied by water, 50% of the pore space occupied by water, 100% is occupied by water, and relative microbial activity. So when very less water is very less, oxygen is too high, then also your microbial activity is not at peak, because for any living organism, requirement of oxygen and water is equally important. So that's why when we look at the graph, always we find that maximum peak of the activity arrive at 50% of the pore space. Means if 50% pore space occupied by water, 50% occupied by oxygen, that means both is equally available for microorganisms. We usually get the highest activity of microorganisms. So here nitrification increases and got maximum at this point, because both water and oxygen equally available. Now, if water level goes increasing and comes to 100%, then at that time, now nitrification is drastically reduced, means very steep. It's abruptly reduced, and by 80% pore space fill up. By that time, nitrification will stop. Then denitrification will abruptly increase and got maximum point at 100% water filled pore space. So it's a relative of oxygen and water presence in the system. Now this is called immunization reaction. I said that soil organic matter, when undergo mineralization, first ammonium ion is produced, NH4. So this This is amide, NH, okay? And this is kind of chain, carbon, nitrogen, hydrogen, oxygen chain, okay? That chain may be a straight chain, elevatic chain, or maybe a cyclic chain. If it is cyclic, then it will be like benzene ring, such kind of structure, or elevatic chain. So depending on the nature of the chain, that decomposability of this compound will be depending on. If it is elevatic simple chain, then it will be easily decomposable, or microorganism can easily attack and decompose. Or if it is a suppose cyclic chain, then it takes longer time to break down by microorganisms. So enzyme involved is peptidase, and amino acids will be generated, and there will be enzymes produced by microorganism called deaminase. Deaminase means amide group. Amine group will be cut down, deaminase. It will be clip off. So this deaminase will be clip off and it will become NH4. It is coming to soil solution. So this is the first step of mineralization of nitrogen, that is immunization. Then nitrification, as of now we know about nitrification, just a single word, nitrification. Actually nitrification is not simple nitrification. At competitive exam level, you have to study in proper sense that there is a nitrification we call autotrophic nitrification, another nitrification what we call heterotrophic nitrification. So you need to study at that level. Not simple nitrification is a two-step process, that is ammonia to nitrite, nitrite to nitrate, engaging the organism, that we call nitrosomonas nitrosobolus. Okay, that is a BSc lection at high secondary class 9-10 student easily understand. But now you need to study all these things in deeper depth. That what is autotrophic nitrification and what is heterotrophic nitrification. So Suman.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Feeling hungry?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Shall I stop here?
No, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If sir want to stop, sir, stop here, sir. And, but sir, today, sir, will not
stop.
arrange the any class.
You do one thing. If possible, I will stop here because I am also feeling hungry. It is about to 2.
Okay.
So can you arrange all the students today at 5, or at 5 can they be online? At 5,
no,
I will again restart. Today.
No, sir. Actually, today
if
is
they
a
are willing.
No, sir. There is the on another class in 4 to 6, sir. On the agrochemical, sir. Hello, sir.
Okay.
So that, sir, we arrange the rest of the class as per the
I got
sir, that I sir provided to you, sir.
Okay. So 7th I have to continue then.
7th, yes, sir. 7th. And before, sir, there is
I will
a
continue.
no, sir. You also no, sir.
And then 10th.
Tomorrow, sir, also
before 7, if you get any opportunity,
yes,
so
yes, sir.
you can tell the student to be online for maybe another 1 hour.
Sir, please listen to me, sir. Hello, sir.
Yeah.
I want to say that, sir, there is the vacant lecture of today in the 2nd hour, sir. Or in the, I hope there is the vacant lecture in 2nd hour, I hope. 2nd or 1st hour. I convey to you, sir, which time is from same time or, sir, in the evening, I hope, sir.
From what time? 4 to 6.
Yes, sir.
So I'll do one thing. I'll start from 5 to 6:30. Is it okay?
5 to 6:30. Yes. Yeah, I convey to students, sir. All the students are here, sir. You are, sir. Yes. Please.
Because thing is, I have some important work also for that college work, na. So I'll take today also, no problem.
Okay, sir. Tomorrow, sir. No, sir. Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. So you confirm me over telephone, and accordingly I will take.
Okay, sir. Okay. I'll
Ah,
talk with you in thank you, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you,
Sir,
everyone.
for giving this precious words. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay.